5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into episode 9 of season 45 of The Cleaners Have Spoken. I don't know, season 4 of The Cleaners Have Spoken. We just watched episode 9 of season 45 of Survivor. I'm Joel. That's my brother, Michael, and we're here to talk about it. Michael, how are you feeling on this Thursday night?
This is season 5 of Cleaners Have Spoken, right?
Season 5? Yeah.
We did 41.
We did 41. Yeah.
42, 43, 44, 45.
Wow, we're pretty much vets at this point. Like we're kind of rocking this right now.
Yeah, man, we could do this in our sleep. And we could do it in our sleep so much that we just slept last week and we didn't do an episode at all. So Kendra went home last week. But we didn't care about that. So, not a lot of nothing too crazy happened. So we're glad to be back this week for a interesting episode. It was interesting to watch. It was funny. There were some really great moments of characterism and some really confusing gameplay all around. So I'm excited to get into that with you.
Yeah. I was honestly like a little disappointed with the episode, if I'm being completely honest. Just a little confused on like what the point of anyone's game is right now that's not like an original 4 Reba member. This feels literally the exact same as the last 2 episodes to me. Just kind of bleh. Like, yeah. Oh, I guess it's that season,
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there on the island that seem to not have the perception of where they are in the game that we have of where they are in the game.
Right.
And so I think that goes for Bruce. That goes for Emily. That goes for Katura. It goes for Jake, although I think Jake kind of realized his plight tonight.
Yeah.
And just kind of has accepted, like, maybe I'll get in 3rd place, 0 vote finalist, but I have no chance of winning. Emily thinks she has a great chance of winning, and Emily might have a chance of winning, but I really felt like tonight, if you weren't in Reba, this was your chance to do the thing. And Emily's going around whipping boats, setting this up perfectly just to not do it.
Yeah.
Just to vote Bruce out. Like, who wants Bruce? Like, getting Bruce out helps who? No one's voting for Bruce at the end. According to everything that they've shown us so far, everyone doesn't want Bruce to win. Everyone is a little bit annoyed by Bruce. And so why are we so concerned about voting him out? Who cares if he has an idol? Just let him have an idol all the way to the end of the game. What does it matter? So yeah, some confusing stuff out there tonight. And I'm glad like not everyone out there is a game bot, but like it was just confusing to watch.
It's just let's just see some action. Like the last couple weeks, I've just been dying for someone to say, you know what? Let me mix this up a little bit. I'm gonna go hard, and if I fail and flame out, then I fail and flame out. Instead of I'm gonna be at the back of the bus, and then I'm gonna get kicked out the back one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last interesting thing, like in that type of thing that you're talking about, was when Jake was trying to go to rocks when it was a split tribal. Like that was the last time something like that happened. And of course, the people he was counting on to make that happen are playing way too conservatively. And so there's just a lot of people playing really conservatively. Like, y'all are not going to win if you get to the end. You still have to do stuff. You know, I get that, like, if Gabler could win, you know, maybe you can win, but I think everyone's like, we need to get to the finale, then I'll just make 3 moves in a row or something and win. And I just don't know if that's going to happen. There's a lot of people that seem to be counting on Reba breaking up. It's like, y'all, these people have voted together every single time.
Yeah.
And you might think that when Reba breaks up, you're going to be in a good spot, but are you sure that's going to happen?
Yeah. Like Emily's, like last week, Emily was talking with, or maybe it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Emily was talking with Drew and Austin and was like, look, guys, like these gonna win, you know, like unless we get her out. And they were like, nah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Like that's your notice right there. It's like, ooh. This can't happen. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they didn't even like appease that notion to her face.
Right.
They didn't even say, yeah, we should talk about that, but like maybe next vote, maybe in 2 votes. The fact that they were just like, yeah, we're not like D's with us. We're good with D. Like, we're not going to mix things up. That should have been immediately like red flag to Emily, because it was still 5-4 at that point.
Yeah.
She could have still rallied everyone in a pretty safe way. But I think the issue is, and I think probably the reason Emily isn't doing this is because she's not the only person with Reba ties that doesn't want to rock the boat.
Yep.
Because Katurah is completely lost.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what she's doing out there. She doesn't even want to like jump in the water after a challenge. It's like, what's going on with you? You know, like I think if Emily was surrounded by different players, if she was around 3 other players who were like, we 4 need to come together and vote strong together and we can take this, she would have been down for it. But I also think what she really didn't want to happen was to try to get something going and then have Katurah go run to Julie and say, Emily's trying to vote you out. Or to have Jake run to Drew and say it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm choosing to still believe that Emily is acting in her best interest and that there's still a path for her. But the fact that she's surrounded by Bello players who don't want to play is making it really hard for her.
Yeah. For as much as there's been like a focus on Bello throughout this whole season, it's been really disappointing. They spent so much time in their camp learning about those relationships, highlighting those people, and they are just getting systematically eliminated. Like, the only 2 left are Jake and Katurah. And Katurah's only shtick throughout the whole season has been getting Bruce out.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake has just existed as someone to like get out pretty much from the get-go. Yeah. And like what have they done? What have they given us? They didn't stick together. They didn't put up a fight against Reba. Like it was a complete waste. It was like a complete waste of time for me to like think about their stories and their relationships and those people. Like this has been a massive disappointment for me this season because I felt like this was going to be a really interesting dynamic with 2 mega tribes and then Caleb and Emily. and then we were going to see a lot of action once the merge happened, and we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not seeing that.
I mean, Bella lost when they voted Caleb out. Like,
yeah,
when they didn't do everything that it took to keep Caleb in the game, that's when they lost.
Yeah,
because it was Bello and Caleb, and it was Reba and Emily, and they didn't really know Emily and Caleb were together. But like, as soon as you get rid of the middle person that you're with and let the other group keep the middle person that they're with, you lose. Like that it doesn't matter how big of a threat that person is. Like, votes still have to get counted, like threat, no threat. Like, at the end of the day, you still need numbers.
right.
And when they lost Caleb, things started going downhill. And when they lost Kelly, that was a huge play by Reba, because Kelly was the only person on Bello who was going to be able to bring everyone together and get them voting in the same direction.
Yeah.
And that was going to be still hard for her because she's dealing with people like Kendra. She's dealing with people like Bruce. And she's dealing with a person like Jake. And those people are so opinionated, but they're opinionated in opposite directions all the time. And so, honestly, like, Kelly never had a chance working with Bello, you know? And she got tied to an anchor in Bruce. And Caleb didn't have a chance just because, like, he's a nice guy who's good in challenges and got started on a terrible tribe. So he didn't have a chance from the get-go. So really the only non-Reba person who can win this game is Emily at this point.
Yeah.
But, like, I think any of the 4 Reba people could win still.
Right.
I think any of them could win. I think I'd most like to see Austin win of any of the 4 of them, but any of them could win. I think what Emily's hoping is that, like, at this next vote, it's going to be Austin and Drew versus Dee and Julie, and she and Jake are going to roll with Austin and Drew, and they're going to take it 4-3. And then, you know, there's not going to, it's going to be her, Austin, and Drew at the end. Austin and Drew will split Reba votes. And most of the people on the jury won't be in Reba. And so she'll get a bunch of votes because her whole strategy right now is jury management. Like, let me go to these people and, you know, tell them the hard truth or whatever about, hey, just so you know, it's you tonight, and there's nothing that can happen that's going to change it. And I'm not going to work with you because I kind of feel like I'm in a good spot right now. But I just wanted you to know that it's you. The people that you're trusting, you know, they're not really with you. I'm with you as a person, but I'm just telling you what's going on. That's her whole strategy, and it might work.
She literally said that earlier, in this week's episode.
Yeah, like if it's a bitter jury, she has a great chance. If she is sitting there next to Austin and Drew, and Jake sits there and says, "Those guys told me they were my friends, and they kept putting votes on me." Okay, Jake's not voting for them. You know, Kelly's gonna be like, "I'm voting for Emily just because she's a woman that made it to the end," and blah blah blah. You know, Caleb's gonna vote for Emily. Like, Emily has a good chance if she makes it to a final 3 with Austin and Drew, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I do think that's the way the editors are setting us up.
Yeah.
Because they're not painting anyone on Reba as a front runner. It's very much like these are 4 equal players who are in a dominant alliance. And that's the situation.
Yeah, and we got a lot of Julie this episode. And a lot of Julie as a threat in this episode. And we've been getting a lot of Dee as a threat, but not Dee herself. Like, we're not getting a bunch of Dee testimonials. You know, like we're not hearing a lot of D's actual voice. We're just hearing everyone say that D's a threat, which to me doesn't strike me as like a winner. But it doesn't make any sense because she's been the big threat the whole game for a lot of people, like social wise. Yeah, like throughout the game. Like I don't see Drew winning $1 million. I don't see Drew winning $1 million.
No.
Like I think if anybody goes to final tribal, they want to go with Drew. I could see Austin winning $1 million. Austin like has 2 idols and has never once been thought of as a vote. What the heck? That's crazy.
Right.
That's actually insane. And I feel like people have to know that he has 2 idols. At least one.
Yeah.
Like that's great. That like I feel like if this is other people are like, oh my God, Austin's social game is crazy right now. Like crazy. 2 idols and not even a thought of a vote. And he's in the majority alliance. And people are still focusing other people in that 4-person alliance. That's crazy. Like as a viewer, that's crazy. I don't know what the people on the beach, maybe they're like, okay, he has 2. So like, I'm not going to vote for him because why would I? Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what their logic is.
Yeah. If a Reba person wins it, I'm going to say is probably the easiest Survivor win ever. Like they've just been like, hey, the 4 of us are together. Yeah. And everyone else is just self-destructing themselves. And not like maybe they're operating some like sick social game that's never before seen, making everyone think that they're with them and no one is with them that's not one of them. Or the other people's perception of reality is just off.
Yeah.
Which I think is you can say about Bruce. You can say it about Kendra. You can say it about Jake until this episode. Maybe he started to like put the pieces together of like this guy's acting like he's my buddy, but then he's like directing votes to me. Like,
yeah.
And so I think that this would be one of the easiest cakewalks to a Survivor victory ever, because until tonight, none of Reba had even won an immunity challenge. They weren't winning immunity challenges. They haven't had to play idols for themselves. They're stocked with idols, but they haven't had to use them. And they haven't even had to sweat it out to not use them. I mean, these people are just straight up got to the merge with 4, and they are just having a leisurely stroll to final tribal. Now, at some point, one of them is going to get voted out, at least. I think they'll probably get split up 2 and 2 next week. But either way, I still think this is like, it's even to a point of like, I don't know what your argument is at final tribal. You know, like if it's Austin and Drew, what's their argument against each other? Drew is going to say, hey, well, unlike Austin, I was the one driving the vote. It's like you were changing it from one person in the opposing alliance to the other.
Right.
With like really unnecessarily, honestly. Yeah.
What's the biggest move? Like, what's the biggest move that you've done all
like
season?
Getting Kelly out. Like everyone was in agreement to get Caleb out. And honestly, Kelly got almost all the votes too. Like even Bello people were voting for her. So like, it's not like you were doing some insane strategic maneuvers. You weren't winning a bunch of immunity challenges. You weren't idling yourself out of times when you would have gone home or someone in your alliance would have gone home. Their biggest move, honestly, was pulling Emily in at the tribe swap. That was it. They locked it down at that point.
Their biggest win was getting voting off Brando in that tribe swap fiasco. Like that was it.
And
like, come on.
So like, if they get to the end, if Emily gets to the end with either Dee and Julie or Austin and Drew, I think she has a great thing to say. Like, I'm the reason the Reba Alliance was able to win all those votes. And I was also the person dictating who on Bello was going home. I was the person going back and forth with all of these random Bello people, making sure they didn't play their shot in the dark, making sure Bruce didn't play his idol, all these different things. And I played a much smarter, more strategic game than anyone on Reba did. And I actually would believe that. And I would vote for her because Reba is just like, literally, like, they're just hanging out in Fiji and one of them is probably going to get $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They should just split the money. I know they're not allowed to do that, but like, just everybody gets $250.
Yeah. Like, this is the game. Like, I feel like this is the ideal game of Survivor. Like, if I were to go on being like, have a very small majority at the merge, but be in the majority alliance of that majority. That's the perfect way to do it. That's how you win Survivor.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done. And it's good for them and it sucks for everybody else involved. Like,
yeah.
It's just brutal to watch, like, Katurah just jump ship like that. And I get that she was on the bottom either way. And like, this bottom is like 6th instead of, 11th. Mm-hmm. But it just sucks to watch. Like, it's like there are people in this season that may just have never had a chance to win because of how bad the Blue Tribe was. Like, Jake never had a chance to win. Caleb never had a chance to win. You get stuck on that island with people that don't like each other at all, that don't want to work with each other, that you need to lean on when you merge, and you can't. And you can't do it. That's bad.
I mean, the thing I can say for Reba is that there were 6 of them, and they let the 2 go that were not in their core 4 and who were the least strategic. Because even being strategic isn't necessarily a threat, because at least I can trust that person's acting in their own best interest. Katurah's not acting in her own best interest.
No.
She's only acting in the negative interest of Bruce.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally been her whole game, and she succeeded at that. Unfortunately for her, she doesn't win $1 million for that. She doesn't even get to win $100,000 for that.
Right.
Her whole game became, I want Bruce to be gone.
And she still spent most of the whole 26 days with Bruce on the same island.
Yeah. It took her that long to get rid of him. And that was her whole goal the whole time.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
I don't know. Who do you think is going to win?
Oh, man.
Because 7, man, this is always a huge episode coming up.
Yeah.
But it feels like it could easily just go the way that the last 3 episodes have gone.
I think it'll be Julie or Emily. I think it'll be a woman. They seem pretty keen on making a woman the winner, which not great for Austin, but I think that's the way it's going to shake out.
Mm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think Julie or Emily is good. Is a good bet. I'm probably still gonna lean Emily because I just feel like she actually is last night when I watched the episode, I was like, I think it's over. Like, I think it's done. I think that it's done for her. But the more I think about it and I start actually counting jury votes, and if it's 2 Rebas and Emily, she has a great chance, in my opinion. Now, I think if one Reba gets rid of all the other Rebas and they still want to vote for that person, so that's 3 votes solid. and then it's them sitting there with Emily and Katura, I think that Reba person is probably going to win.
If anybody makes it there with Jake and Katura, they're going to win.
Yeah. Right. And in my opinion, Emily punted on that tonight or last night. Like that was in her sights. She had the ability to do that. She could have easily gotten the votes together to do that, where it was 3, 1, and 4. Boom, done. Bruce doesn't play his idol, but it doesn't matter because one of the Reba 4 is going home. And it wouldn't have had to have been Austin or Drew, one of the ones she's tight with. And if she blows up Julie or Dee's spot, Austin and Drew are definitely with her then. They're definitely with her then because there's not that same strength of there's 4 of us and that's insulation. It's like, okay, now we have to work with Emily because we don't have a choice. So,
yeah, because I mean, there's no way that like Drew and Austin would just call up like Katura after Katura blindsides them and be like, hey, let's work with us. Like, work with us again. You know?
I mean, I think
like,
they'd go to Emily and be like, what the heck, dude? And Emily would be like, I'm sorry, guys, but I told you that I wanted to do this and you gave me the cold shoulder and I love you and I want to work with you. But like they were going to beat us at the end and I wasn't going to let that happen. And I think that they would have, they in my mind, there's like a 66% chance they would have been like, okay, you're right. Let's get together, the 3 of us to the end. Or there's that 33% chance where they actually still would have enough power to absolutely blow up her spot.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing she was worried about.
And I mean, we're talking like she could get Katura's vote. Everything that anybody said to Katura was immediately relayed to them.
Dude.
Which doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for Katura just to blab every information she gets to the majority.
No. And Katura really bothered me this episode because Bruce, he does that thing, tells her at the beginning of the episode, like lies to her, like, hey, so I actually don't have an idol because I gave it to Kelly because I was worried about knowledge is power. And so she actually got voted out with my idol in her pocket. And Katura believed him. She's acting as if she didn't believe him. But if you watch the scene, the look on her face is like, are you serious? Bruce, you don't have an idol. And she was excited he didn't have an idol. He should have just he should have just told all Bruce had to do for his plan to work to perfection is tell Katura and not tell anybody else.
Yeah.
Because Katura is going to run and blab to everybody that Bruce doesn't have an idol and they should vote him out. Boom, he plays his idol, cancels out 4, 5, 6 votes. And now Bruce is like on the map as a threat. Ariba probably goes home. And it's a whole new game. I thought they were real. Like, did you think that Bruce's idea was as bad as everyone made it seem like it was?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was literally So I got on Twitter a couple times and just like I saw one tweet that almost like that I thought was spoiling, but it was like not like coordinating a blind side for an idol in the pocket. And I was like, okay, there's only 2 idols in the game. And like, that's not a blind side for Bruce. Like, she's not with Bruce. That's nothing. That's stupid. If Bruce doesn't play his idol, he's dumb. They've been trying to get him out for weeks now. And then I was like, okay, so he said that. The only other person that has an idol in this game is Austin, and she knows that. So, like, that's conceivable. Like, flipping the table and voting out Austin is conceivable with what Bruce just said. So I was like, okay, this may be an interesting episode. And then it wasn't at all. It was like the letters home, which was really sad and dramatic. Like they really keyed that up big time this year. And then like it was women talking about women winning and then men being boys while they're
Guys'
gone,
night.
which was just like a massive cut up of them just doing absolutely nothing with
Guys' night. That was awesome.
weird music. Yeah.
That was the peak of the episode.
It's just like there with how boring the gameplay has been the last few weeks, I've been a little frustrated that I had to watch 90-minute episodes. Because it's just like give me something better.
Right.
Like I would have loved to have seen like Shan, Ricard, Evie. Like I would love to have seen that episode with that season with 90-minute episodes. This with 90-minute episodes is like it's not good. Like it started out awesome, and now I'm just kind of like tired. Like I'm fast forward me to the finale right now.
Yeah, I think the boot order has been really problematic for good strategy. Sabaya going home when she did. She was a really good player. Caleb going home so early. Kelly going home so early. It's been really problematic for like how the game is going to actually play out strategically. Brandon going home so early. He was a great character. And obviously he should have gone home when he did, but like he was a great character that a great Survivor season happens when the duds get voted out early and no one remembers them. And now there's a few duds that made it a lot further than they probably should have. And back to the Bruce lying about not having an idol thing. I totally get what his plan was. And if he had just like done it without workshopping it, he would have looked like a genius. Because no one would believe Bruce would lie about that. Like nobody would have believed Bruce is saying he doesn't have an idol, but he does. And even if they still believed he had an idol, they still would have put votes on him. And he would have known he had to play his idol.
Well, yeah, but it's just so funny to me because the person that actually blew that up for him was Emily. Because Jake came and told Drew and Austin, and Jake thought it was 100% true. And he told them, and they believed him. And then Emily was like, no, it's a crock of crap.
Yeah.
Like that's not real. It's just like Emily and Katura have been doing all the work for Reba. And they've just they've burned everything down that is not the Reba for them.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
well, and I think that I don't know that that's not part of Emily's strategy long term. I think Katura is lost. We haven't seen Katura be self-aware about her situation in this game much at all in this whole season. She'll say stuff like, I'm on the outs, but like, I was listening to Bruce's exit interview today, and like, he was like, Katura saying like she was on the outs, but like she was in on the votes, like maybe she didn't know about my idol, but it's not like she was on the outs and that like she didn't know where the votes were going or that votes were coming at her. Like none of that is true. Like that didn't happen. And I left last night's episode, and then after listening to Bruce's exit interview today, like feeling for Bruce. Like I get it. Bruce isn't a mastermind Survivor player, and he should have played his idol. He should have played his idol, and he knows as much. And he said in his exit interview today, he said, when we went into tribal council, I was 99% sure I was playing my idol. But like, whatever conversation Emily had with him before, that made it seem like a sure bet Julie was going to get the majority of votes, made him feel safe enough to carry that into tribal. And then the things at tribal that were said made him think this was all a bluff and no votes. Like, I'm actually not getting a bunch of votes, which, like, in my opinion, holding on to your idol in that situation, if you're not getting votes, having an idol is useless. See Xander, season 41.
Yeah.
Like, being smart enough to hold on to your idol, that's good. But like also, if you get to the end and you had an idol for 10 tribal councils and you didn't have to use it once, honestly, that just like looks negative on you. Like you should have played it on yourself or someone else at some point before now.
Yeah.
Probably someone else if you weren't getting any votes. There have been so many opportunities for people to take charge of this game and just not do it. Going all the way back to like people like Kendra. Like she had opportunities to like get people together, make a good move, but like she didn't have like the social game to actually do it. And each of those Bello people, whether it's Kendra, Jake, Bruce, they just get their hearts set on voting one person out. And they're not going to their alliance talking it through. Who do we all want to vote out? They're just, Kendra's saying, I want to vote D out. And Couture saying, I want to vote Bruce out. And Jake is saying anybody but me or whatever. And it's just like, you guys need to like get together and like figure out what works like combined best for all your games. Yeah. Because when Kendra wants to vote D out, Couture is like, I want to vote Bruce out. And it's like, okay, Couture, that's fine. But Bruce is way more with us than he thinks he's with Reba. Although Bruce said he thought he was with Julie. But he hadn't voted with Julie a single time. But he's just like, oh yeah, I've got Julie. I'm with Julie.
And then he just voted for Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because Emily told him Julie's not really with you.
That's crazy.
I don't know if like Reba was like, okay, you take him, you take him, you take him, and you take him. And we'll play man defense on these people to where they all think that we have a secret alliance with them, but we're just going to keep voting together all the way through. Like Jake thinks he's with Drew. Emily thinks she's with Drew and Austin. Bruce thinks he's with Julie. There was a time where like they were going to do a quote unquote girls alliance with Kelly and Dee and Julie and Emily and Couture. And, Couture thinks she's with Julie and Dee. And it's just like, y'all aren't with them. So maybe hats off to Reba for playing a great game. And I wish we had seen that more than we've seen it, because we've got 90 minutes here. So if that's happening, we should be seeing it. We should be seeing them like absolutely working these other people. But all that we see is these people just blowing up their own spot constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my feelings exactly. And we'll see next week if they're any better, if the episode's any better. They're teasing that it's going to be better and that there's going to be betrayal and there's going to be conflict, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Can't count our eggs before they're hatched.
Yeah. Yeah. We have like 1 minute left. Any thoughts on the Grizzlies or the Titans or anything like that?
Grizzlies stink, Titans stink, but I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday.
You heard that? They're playing the Colts, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
1.5 point home underdogs against the Colts this week.
Apparently Levis is hurt though. So I don't know how he looked pretty bad. He looked like he was limping pretty good.
Yeah, Levis is hurt, but like we're gonna put Tannehill out there, not Malik Willis, if he's hurt.
Yeah.
And Levis, even healthy, is like I want him to play, but he's not that much better than Tannehill.
Yeah.
And this is the type of game like if Levis didn't play, Tannehill would go out there and throw 250 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like that would happen, which would be so frustrating, but that's probably what would happen.
Yeah. I'm happy either way. Win or loss. I don't care.
It's football season, so we're just happy.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us. I'm Joel. That's Michael. And we will see you next week for The Cleaners Have Spoken. Yeah. Bye, guys.
See ya.